Hi, I'm Johnny. I had ulcerative colitis. I've got a temporary ileostomy, and this is my story.
Okay, tonight I'm joined with Jonny Hughes, one of my fellow PT core instructors who happens to have been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And what's really unusual for me is that Jonny is the fourth person that I know of within my sort of military community that has been diagnosed. For me, like whenever I was diagnosed, I thought I was the only one. And slowly, more people have sort of come out of the woodwork. Unfortunately, Jonny's diagnosis is really quite recent. But Jonny, do you want to say hello to the guys that are tuning in?
Yeah, so hey guys, I'm Johnny. I'm 26 years old. I joined the army similar to yourself when I was 16. I spent 10 years in the infantry in the Royal Welsh, which is an infantry regiment. After 10 years, I then transferred over to the PT Corps. And then, straight after joining, I got sent to the Falklands, which is a good place to go for your first
The best place to go.
for your first posting. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it until I got ill and started getting symptoms, which was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nuts, mate. So can you talk me through your life before you were sort of diagnosed, like prior to that? What sort of stuff were you up to? Who was Jonny Hughes?
Yeah, so I've always been massively into the gym, hence why I went PT Corps.
Yeah.
I started training really when I was in school. When I was about 15, 16, started getting into weights. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, but you just go for it anyway.
It's like most of us, really, innit?
Didn't have a clue. Still don't have a clue now, but there you are. I don't know how I got you. But yeah, so I started first few years doing all different bits of fitness, really just merging it all into one.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, I think it was 2016, when I started getting into CrossFit a lot.
What brought you into CrossFit then? What was
just the excitement of the unknown?
Yeah.
Like choosing a workout and not knowing how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And that feeling of finishing it, completing it, and the state you're in afterwards, it's kind of a sick feeling.
Sadistic, addictive.
Yeah, not everyone likes or can be bothered with, but it's the sense of just that feeling of hanging out at the end, and like when you're with your mates as well, when you're competing together, and it's just a good little community, especially the community I'm at now, CrossFit Blockhouse in Andover.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I started there 2016, and the people there great, supportive. Been supportive ever since I had the diagnosis.
Oh, so you're still in touch with those guys?
Yes,
as well?
I still go down there.
Oh,
I haven't been there lately,
obviously,
but I still went to the Christmas party with them, and I went to see my mate compete in London.
Yeah.
Last weekend, and it's really great, really, to speak to them, and they're generally concerned about you, which is overwhelming because you're just a bit like, you just get forgotten about you. You mean you're on your own? You're just like.
I think that's one of the most attractive things I've noticed about CrossFit in itself is like the people that I know that are involved in it, in clubs and stuff like that. There tends to be that bit more community. Like I think there's a second or third person that I've talked to on the show who's been into CrossFit for a period of time, and the most common thing is that community draw. Because I don't think you really get it. Like I've joined city gyms, like things like Cannons or Fitness First, and although there was like clubs and people would meet up, it always felt a bit false. Yeah. Whereas the sense I get from that,
it's completely different. So say people go, CrossFit gym, it's expensive compared to what you would pay, but then you got to think, what are you getting out of it?
Yeah.
Like the coaching there is phenomenal compared to if you go to somewhere like Pure Gym, you're in a bubble. And you never get out of it. You're just in that comfort zone, and you'll never progress. You go to a box, and you've got people pushing you. You've got coaches teaching you how to do things correctly. Like I look back at myself, and I think some of the form I used to do, it's just embarrassing. Do you mean?
We're all going to start somewhere, though.
But they just snap it out of you, and like in no means am I a good athlete at all. Yeah. But I compete at like a club level, which was enough for me. I always wanted to go to a bigger comp, but I was strong at like my gymnastics were good, my engine was good, the only thing I struggled with was probably Olympic lifting. I mean, I was like strong at like all the powerlifting movements.
Yeah.
But when it came to Olympic lifting, it wasn't as strong as I needed it to be to compete at a higher level.
Yeah.
So as soon as I realised this, being Welsh, I tried to turn it around. I started getting stronger, started getting better lifts. Went away to the Falklands. I was going to use that time to get as strong as I could, to maybe come back and compete a bit more. But then, nah.
Then the world made a different decision.
Yeah, but you know, it's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a hard thing sometimes, particularly just dealing with that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's amazing. So you're a fit, healthy person, and that's one of the things that really shocks me about IBD. In my experience, particularly people that I know, they've always had like a background where they've not necessarily been fitness instructors, but they've been interested in fitness, have what most people would say is a healthy lifestyle, a healthy attitude towards food, a healthy attitude towards activity. And it kind of surprises me the number of those people that end up with IBD.
Well, that's what I mean. So I've got a lot of mates who kind of rip me a bit because they're like, oh, you know, you spend all your time being healthy, keeping fit, and then that happens to you. You should just do what I do, just eat crap, and just like, I'm fine. You should have done the same. I was thinking, yeah, fair one.
Yeah, the same from some of my friends back home. Like I'd be ordering like random salads. There's one bloke, one of my mates, JR. I remember we were going to, there's a pub called the Pheasant.
Yeah.
And so we go there for burgers, like sort of like on a Friday. It used to be like you could get a house burger in there with bacon and cheese, and it would cost you more or less the same as a Big Mac meal in McDonald's.
Yeah.
So it was really good value for money. But I was like, oh, can I get like a chicken salad, please, with a vinaigrette dressing? And you just want to see these turn around with his jaw on the floor going,
they just don't.
What is this?
Yeah, some people don't understand. I've got a mate that we'll go out and he'll have a sandwich or something. I'll have lettuce. He'll take the bread apart. Yeah. He'll pick out every bit of lettuce. Like he will not eat anything green. So he'll pick it all out. He'll put it together and be like, yeah, I'll eat it now. But it's ridiculous. But.
So you mentioned the Falklands is where things started to go awry. So can you talk us through what actually went on, if you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So after coming off my probs course, passed in July. So I badged in July. 2 weeks after that, I went over to the Falklands. Good job, really good job over there. Sent the manager for a adventure training camp. So I was working under the RAF at the time. Really great bunch of lads. I'd never worked outside the infantry before, really, so it was a good exposure to how they run things.
Maybe a bit of a shock as well.
Bit of a shock as well, but it was good. You know what I mean? And so I went over there. It was fine for like the first 2 weeks. Really started to get into the job. Started being comfortable with what I was doing. And then I started getting these weird symptoms. You know, the usual colitis symptoms, the blood in the stool.
Bloody urgency.
I mean, it didn't come gradual either. It came quite rapid. So we're talking 30, 40 plus times a day, just running back and forth to the toilet. It wasn't pleasant, but at this point I didn't have any pain. So I was thinking, well, it can't be that bad if I'm not in pain. It's just a bit of blood. Like, I think I've had blood in my stool about once or twice previously. But I've never really thought about it, because at the time when I had it, I was boxing, so I just thought, I just thought, I don't know, I've taken a punch in the gut, and something's happened, and it didn't happen again, so I put it down to that. Yeah. Another time it happened was when I thought, I'm just got a high fibre diet. You know, it's just, and so.
But it's interesting because we always try to, if something like that happens, I think we do naturally try to find an excuse or a reason for it to try and make it seem normal. Yeah, we do. You try and kind of hide it. You're just like, it's because of this. But anyway, so it was about two or 3 weeks into it, I started getting these symptoms, and then I kept it quiet for a while. Cause I was thinking maybe it'll blow over. So I was I had these symptoms, and then they started calming down for a couple of days, but after a week it died down, and I started training again. I went back in the gym and started squatting, but in between my sets I was running back and forth the toilet. So it started picking up again. So I was doing like a set
of, I don't know, a few reps, and then I'd be like, right, run to the toilet, run back at the toilet. Okay, I'm good to go again. Go back in the toilet, and I was thinking, something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's really not right. I was thinking, right, so I started going to the gym again. And then I told a few of the boys over there, and they were just like, yeah, you need to get down to the med centre. And if anyone watching has been to the Falklands, you know that Stanley Road is no joke. So
what is this? What's Stanley Road?
Stanley Road. So basically, it's the main road between Mount Pleasant, which is the main RAF camp, and Stanley Town, which is the capital of the Falklands. So you can only go 40 miles an hour along that road, and it takes about an hour to get from one place to another. And the road's horrific. It's just pothole galore. Do you mean it's just, the road is trashed. And either side is just two massive ditches. So you'll always be driving past and you'll see just wagons just upside down. It's really dangerous. But anyway, so you get these mobile phones, but
they don't really work, do they?
They work, but there's a certain part of the drive that the signal drops.
Yeah.
So if you break down, luckily this didn't happen to me, but if you break down within that radius, you got a few miles walk before you pick up signal again. And it's very rare you'll see a truck coming the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because if you see someone broken down, you got to stop. Otherwise they could be there like
days.
Well, say hours, overnight possibly.
Yeah.
That's why they say if you're gonna go anywhere, you got to take wet warm kit, your gonk bag to keep warm, food, everything, because you never know what happened.
Yeah.
Back and forth to like appointments with a med centre. When you're going for those symptoms.
Yeah.
So you're just like
having an hour's drive.
If I go before.
Yeah.
Can I make it to the other end without needing to go again?
Yeah.
So you're just like, kind of just trying to push that. All the vehicles were capped at 40, so you couldn't push it no matter what state you were in. So you kind of had to just ride it out. But anyway, I started having appointments with the MO. At the start, I didn't find like I got took seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just thought, oh, he's just got a bit of a bellyache. Do you mean you'd be alright in a few days, just go back. And he was like, yeah, just make sure you're isolated to one toilet. I said, whoa. I said, I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say to you. If I've explained my symptoms. If you're trying to isolate me to one toilet, if I need to go, it's just like, you've got 20 to 30 seconds before you're just going to blow.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you feel the urge to go. Do you mean? It was snowing at the time. I was thinking, I'm not going to run across camp to a certain toilet that I've been isolated to go. And it's just like, I'm going to find the nearest toilet I can. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, but anyway, so I went away.
So you thought you had DMV or something?
Yeah, DMV, irritable bowel syndrome, whatever. But I was just like, right, okay. But I didn't know what I had either.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I started like messaging my dad, people at home. I was thinking, what are these symptoms? It's just not right. And my dad was just like, oh, maybe it's colitis. I was like, what? What is colitis?
Is that like a proper left field?
I was like, what? He's like, yes, it's a disease. I was like, oh God, I've got a disease. So from there, I was just started thinking, I'm sure my mum had something like this, but you don't really ask at the time. You don't really know. You always know, like they went through an operation.
Yeah.
They had bowel trouble.
So had your mum had colitis?
Yeah, so she had exactly the same as me. So that's why I think it's hereditary that I got the disease. But it's just one of those things, and anything could have triggered it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she had the full thing. She had the ostomy bag, the J. She went through with the J pouch, all in within a 6-month bracket. But you know what the bags were like about. You're talking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When it's just like the bags were see-through, so you could see everything in HD.
Yeah.
And it's just like they would rattle. If you look online and you look at like ostomy bags from like 1970s, 80s, it's just like, nah, you can understand why you'd want the J pouch straight away.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think she was like the third person in the UK at the time to have it
Okay.
done. So, because it was
It's still very new.
I think it
procedure.
mainly came from Australia, didn't it? When they
I
started
have
creating
no idea
it.
where
Yeah.
it came from.
Well, I've done a lot of research, but I think it came from Australia, and then it came over. Anyway, back on topic of the Falklands. So, yeah, I started having blood tests, and then this was about, I think I was over there for about 3 weeks. It was like a 3-week bracket
Yeah.
between going back and forth the med centre, having blood tests, all that. And then when my blood test got back, then he was like,
What?
no. Because I was ridiculously anemic from all the blood loss. And he was like, right, we're going to need to get you back on a Medivac as soon as possible. And I went down to get an x-ray in Stanley Town, to check I could fly. The MO was just like, yeah, I'm going to need to get you back before it becomes an emergency. Because he didn't know what it was. So he didn't want me going over to like Chile or something.
Yeah.
And he said there was a surgeon on the Falkland Islands. He said he's got all the confidence in him to do the operation, but it's just a bit like
really
dodgy. I was just like, operation? What are you on about? I'm not having an operation. I'm fine. I just don't go to the toilet a lot. But anyway, I was thinking, right, I'll go back just to make sure. And then I had that. Going back. I mean, the boss I had at the time, he was brilliant, and all the people that I was in Hillside camp with were really supportive. They were just like, if you need to go to, if you can't go to work, leave it. Just stay in bed. We get it. If you want to come in, do a few hours of work on the computer. Not that there was that much work to do in the Falklands, but it was mainly like going out, taking AT and like battlefield tours.
Yeah.
We take battlefield tours up like Mount Tumbledown, Harriet, and what was the other one? Longdon. So mine was Tumbledown. So you go up there, you take a group, and you do like a battlefield tour.
Were they quite popular? Was this tourists or
no? This was just military.
Yeah.
So if they're fed up of being down MPA, the line manager would just take them up down Stanley for a couple of days and just do some activities or.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah, but anyway, I'd be up the mountain. I'd be like, I could blow any minute, like taking a tour. And my boss at the time, so a flight lieutenant, he was just like, look, he said, stop taking the tours. He was like, the last thing I want you to do is be up there with a group and having to say, excuse me, I need to go behind this rock and go to the toilet.
Oh, mate.
He said, I would never do that to you. So he stopped me from doing that. And so it was a good management on his behalf. So anyway, got on the plane, went through a big process of it, and it was like, that flight is about 21 hours.
And was it long?
To Bryce Norton, and I was like, look, can you get me a seat next to a toilet? And they're like, yeah, we'll sort that out. Nah, didn't have that. So I couldn't have been any more further away from a toilet. But
really?
So I was just thinking, oh, no, this is going to be a long flight.
Yeah.
Half an hour, I think, every 20 minutes, half an hour, I was just up and down.
How was your butt at
toilet.
this time? Like, that's got to have been sandpaper.
No, I was used to it by then.
Yeah.
So I was just conditioned to sandpaper. Do you mean? It was, so I was just going back and forth up the aisle. And when you like hit turbulence or something, you can't move, you're just stuck there. Or landing as well. You can't get up, you got to sit in it, so you're just like, whoa. You got to really hold it, which is horrible.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, back and forth that plane, 21 hours, horrendous, got off the plane. From where I got off the plane to Bryce Norton, I should have been admitted straight away. Then maybe they could have found medication. Or I was meant to be put on steroids straight away to get the inflammation down so I could have a colonoscopy. But anyway, none of that happened. I got off the plane. My dad picked me up. I went straight to Aldershot Medical Centre, where they put me on. I explained my symptoms, but they didn't really take it too seriously. I don't know if I should be saying this on the podcast, but I'm just gonna tell you anyway. I don't think I got taken too seriously. The reason being, I had the assessment, and the MO was just like, right, yeah, I'll put you in for a flexible sigmoidoscopy, which is like a half colonoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, we'll send you on 8 days sick leave. And I was like, you send him on sick leave to bleed out, basically. I'm just like, well, anyway, I did what they told me, stupidly, but I got sent home on sick leave. I was just waiting out every day, just going through the same symptoms when I was at home. Couldn't really do anything. From this point, I started to isolate myself completely.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't go out the house, I just stay in. I stopped talking to people as much.
Mm-hmm.
The only people I would talk to was the people I was close to at the time. And I'd speak to my fiancée a lot about it, which she really helped me through it, from what I was going through at the time. Started completely isolating myself.
What were your feelings at the time then?
Just like, why is this happening to me? You know, the usual stuff you would, like, I've not done anything for this to be, but I didn't have the diagnosis at the time, so you still think it could be anything. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, the feelings are very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being back in the Falklands. I got to go back there. I remember being in my cabin and just lying on my bed thinking I was trapped over there, and just thinking, going around in my head, all the different emotions come out of you, and you just think I could just end it now.
Yeah.
In as bad as that sounds, you get to that stage.
Yeah.
Because you just rapidly start losing weight, and you just don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm back on sick leave, back in Risca, back in South Wales, and I start getting the symptoms just get worse. I ring them up. I get to Frimley Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to travel from South Wales to Frimley Hospital. I'm going to stop at every single petrol station, every single services to go to the toilet. At the sigmoidoscopy, you can see it all on the camera, can't you? So you're lying down, you can see it on the camera, you're just like, what is going on in my body?
Yeah.
You're like, that is horrendous. But you kind of know something's happening anyway. So I went back home for another week, didn't hear anything back. Started ringing them up, trying to find out what it was. Found out nothing. This point, I could hardly walk.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get up the stairs. I got to crawl. It's horrendous. So my dad then took me straight to the medical assessment unit.
Yeah. Where is that now?
No, sorry, he ran St. Athens Medical Centre, and they were like, right, he should have been admitted as soon as he got off the plane.
Yeah.
He needs to be admitted now. So they just told him what to do. We got up to, so we went straight to the Royal Gwent then, to the medical assessment unit. And then I got taken from there, really. So the consultant was just like, yeah, I know what it is, but this is what we're going to do. You know, you should have been in a lot sooner. We could have sorted this out, but you're admitted now. We'll put you on a course of IV steroids, which they have benefits, but long-term effects, they completely ruin you.
Yeah.
Like, they put a lot of weight on you, not good weight, and they get rid of all your muscle definition, your strength. They start giving you acne and all these symptoms I was experiencing. But at the time I was just like...
Did you feel better? You felt better?
Like, yeah, I was thinking, I'm not in pain, so I'm just gonna ride it out.
Yeah.
But so I was in for about 2 weeks on the course of steroid treatment, and I was on a medication called, immunosuppressant called infliximab, which it works wonders for some people, but some people it doesn't. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. But then again, I didn't really give it enough time to work, because I was in so much pain. I was just like, I need this to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I went home after the 2 weeks when my symptoms calmed down. Went home for 2 weeks on a course of steroid treatment. As I came down off the steroids, my symptoms came back even worse.
Yeah.
Again, the pain was just ridiculous. I can't even describe it.
So what happened then? Did you have to go back to hospital?
Yeah, so I got readmitted back to hospital.
How long is this timeline now?
This was from...
So from the Falklands, how many weeks?
So 3 weeks from got the symptoms, then 3 weeks, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this was week 7 when I went back into. So it all happened quite quick.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't over a course of years. It was over a course of a few weeks. And they were like, yeah, so your inflammation markers have gone from 50, where you left, to 190. So they were like, right, it's dangerous if we let you go back home, so you're going to have to be admitted. I was like, right, okay. Back on the IV steroids.
Were you expecting that, though?
No, I was like, maybe they just give me some painkillers and I'll be alright.
Okay.
And I'll continue on the steroids. But anyway, I got readmitted. And then it was just a case of just waiting for the inflammation to come down. In the back of my head, I knew it was going to be surgery.
Yeah.
I just knew. Like, so going back to when I first got admitted, you get the stoma nurses come round speaking to you, this is what could happen, and you're just like, I'm not interested.
Did they put a little dummy stoma on you?
Yeah. No, I didn't have that. I was just like, nah. I said, I'm not interested. I'll see if the medication works. And they were like, oh, okay. So I didn't approach it really, like, maturely, if that makes sense. I was just like, I'm not interested. I
don't want it. I'll be honest with you, I was the same whenever I was going through the point where I was very serious and they could tell that I wasn't responding to the medication that they had me on.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it, and I was literally last chance saloon until I came to say, okay, maybe that is an option.
Yeah.
So I was exactly the same.
So, yeah, I had that. So, sorry, going back to my second admission, they started doing, they put me back on the usual. No, but this time I stopped doing the infliximab because it was just not point.
Working.
Yeah, it wasn't working. Even though it's meant to take about up to 6 months, I wasn't waiting that long.
Yeah.
There was no chance. I was like looking at Facebook groups like Crohn's Colitis.
Yeah.
And the amount of people suffering on there, and it's just like
it can feel a bit depressing as well, kind of, when you're reading.
It's just like people posting things like, 9 months, I'm in remission after 9 months of infliximab, and I'm like, what? 9 months? I'm not waiting that long, not a chance. And it was like, so from there, that's when surgery started popping into my head. Within that first week of the readmission.
Mm-hmm.
So I, like, at this point, I had my colonoscopy, my third colonoscopy, because I had one after my admission because I never got the results back from Frimley.
Okay.
So, I mean, they were trying to get hold of it. And it was not till after I had the colonoscopy, then they contacted me to say, we're looking to start you on medication. I was like, I've already been admitted, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I started thinking about having surgery. But at the time, I was like surrounded by people within like the 60, 70, 80 range age category.
What, on the ward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, what is going on?
Yeah.
But then it really opens your eyes to, you're kind of ignorant to what is going on in these places. Like, when I was speaking to different people, and the amount of things that they had wrong with them, I was thinking, wow, I didn't even know these things existed. Like, some guy next to me was like 75. He had throat cancer, and he was just like, well, if I have to go, I'll go. I've enjoyed my life. And I'm thinking, fair one. But then I think, I'm 26.
Yeah.
I can't think like that. Do you know what I mean? So...
No, it's totally crazy. Like, and like, I remember being on the ward as well, and it's like people in there, you're just like going, what is going on? One of my concerns was like, is this my peer group now? Is this where I fit in the circle? But like IBD in itself, it's not, from in my experience, it's not something that's commonly talked about. And like when you do end up with a diagnosis of it, it comes as a shock. And you know, like I'd never heard of IBD before. I'd heard of IBS and things like that, and people having a bit of a dicky tummy. But in terms of like it being a chronic disease that's got lifelong consequences, I'd never even thought about it.
No, you don't do.
No.
So I'd never heard of the disease really. I didn't know anything about it until you get it.
And that's mad because your mum had it, do you know what I mean? Like, and so it's like until you were going through that process, even the fact that your mum had it was oblivious. Like you were ignorant to it.
So I had I had a few like stomach issues leading up to it, and I just thought, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but I was eating a lot of broccoli at the time, and I googled I googled about it. They said, yeah, broccoli will give you certain stomach cramps, but don't worry because the benefits outweigh the discomfort. I was thinking, oh, okay, oh, that's fine. Thinking it's broccoli that's giving me stomach cramps, but it wasn't.
That was the start of ulcerative colitis.
But however, I was reading a book, so I'm going off topic again. But I was reading a book called Genius Foods by a guy called Max Legroove or something like that. I'll have to let you read it. But it said in there that if you overeat fibre, it can set off inflammation markers within the bowel. So, something could have set it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the weird thing is, like, nutrition is so... One of the things I've learned is nutrition is so individual, but it's also very important. So being able to figure out what nutrition works for you is really, really key, because, there's loads of things, like, in my experience of chatting with John, that he can't touch it. That doesn't seem to affect me. And there's equally similar things that I can't eat, but John's never thought of it as being a problem.
So while we're talking about John, he actually got his, he might have told you, he got his first symptoms when he was in the Falklands. Which is kind of a trend, because we're both Welsh, we both got ill in the Falklands, but yeah, he had those symptoms.
That's nuts. If you had told me, I'd forgotten.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe it when you said. I was like, flipping heck.
That is crazy, that is crazy.
So, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's the water.
Probably.
Drinking it.
All the uranium enriched rinds that have been launched around here. That is nuts.
Anyway, so I'm in hospital on my second admission, thinking about having the ostomy. I was thinking, asking loads of questions, but I didn't know anyone who'd had it. And I think there was a student nurse a go round who had one.
Okay.
And he was about 30. And he'd come over and he'd chat to me.
Yeah.
For a couple of hours, and I'd be asking him all these questions. And I was like, look, I'm into my, the gym, stuff like that. Will I be able to do, strength training, Olympic lifting? He was like, I'll put it this way, can you do it now? And I was like, no. He was thinking, well, you know what I mean? You can't do it, so maybe it's an option.
Yeah.
I was thinking, yeah, he's right. So...
Oh, great, yeah. I'm with you now in that perspective. I thought, can you do it now? And then he was like, well, of course you're not going to be able to do it.
Can't do it now, because it was just getting worse. There was no...
Yeah, so your life's a shit tip, isn't it? And you're just like... And that's where I was as well. It's like going... Yeah, it's such a difficult point.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so basically... I listened to what he was saying, and I was thinking, you know what, this is... Right now, I am a useless human being to anyone. I am useless. I might as well just do something that's going to... And at the time, I just wanted to live a normal life. I wanted to be able to go to a shop and not worry about it. I wanted to be able to go to the cinema and sit through a film without being in discomfort.
Yeah.
Or just
or not have to get out.
Yeah, or go... Just simple, day-to-day things that you couldn't do because you were just isolated from everything. That's when I started making the decision where, the surgeons come in, they're just like, mate, look at what's going on with you.
Look at this chart.
I was like, yeah, just give it a bit more time. Do you mean? But then I had my third colonoscopy, and he was like, looking in it, and I was thinking, it's got worse. I was looking at the bowel, it was like black. It was horrendous. And he said to me, like, that's gonna have to come out. It's gonna perforate. I was thinking, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know it's gonna come out. So then, I was speaking to the surgeons came in. I said, yeah, I've made up my mind. I'm gonna have it done. And they were like, yeah. Got me in. So this was Friday, and then I went on the surgery on the Monday.
Okay.
So it was quite quick. So from there, I had the surgery. Woke up, felt like a completely different person. Like, not a bad way, but just like the sense of relief. That I didn't feel ill anymore.
What was it like looking down and seeing the colonoscopy?
Well, I didn't look at it for about... So the day after, 2 days after maybe? Or the day after.
Did you get the stoma nurse coming up to take you through your first change and that?
Yeah, but I looked at it and I was thinking, yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's just, it's part of your body, do you mean? It's done now.
Yeah.
There's no going back. That's what you've got to get used to. And, so I chose to have the surgery before it became an emergency.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good idea.
Big help.
So I was lucky enough to have it keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I waited a few weeks longer, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
But so I think the worst part of that surgery is the week after. All the bowel obstructions and all that sort of stuff.
Did you end up with an NG tube
yeah,
and stuff?
NG tube. And that's a funny story actually. I was speaking to my mate, and he said he went through a lot of abdominal surgeries because he served in the forces as well.
Okay.
So he didn't have a nice experience, but he said from everything he went through, the worst part of it was having that NG tube put in his nose. And just the amount of bile and crap coming out your mouth is horrendous. But anyway, I remember just staying up all night with that stuck up my nose, down my throat, just like ridiculously dehydrated. Every time you go to drink something, you just want to throw up. But it saves your vocal cords from burning.
Yeah, it saves a lot, doesn't it? Because it stops you retching so much and things like that. Such a horrible getting it in and out, but when it's in there, actually, it does work. But yeah, so talk me through how life has changed then since you've now got an ostomy. Like, how have you had to adapt, and what's the future look like?
I'm just taking things slow, taking things really steady. I've waited 3 whole months now before going into anything at all, because I've heard so many horror stories about people having hernias, prolapses, all that sort of stuff, and I'm thinking, if I rush it, it's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
So I just waited a complete 3 months. I wanted to get back into some sort of basic strength program just to keep my head focused on something. So I started talking to this guy from New Zealand. Forgot his name's James. I can't pronounce his second name. It's like James Futai or something like that.
He set up a group, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's an ostomy strength coach. I'm happy to program myself, but now I'm not. If that makes sense, I don't have a clue.
Yeah. Now
this has happened, so I need someone.
It's a whole new world, isn't it?
To guide me, so I'm not doing things wrong or pushing it too far too soon. So it's just interesting because he's helpful. He's been through 8 abdominal surgeries. He's had it all. Do you mean? So it's just interesting to talk to him.
Yeah. Do you talk to him quite regularly?
Yeah, all the time.
Cool.
All the time. I was also speaking to Joseph. I think you had him on the channel.
Yeah. He's about to go up.
Before I had the surgery, I would sit in hospital on my iPad.
Yeah.
And I'd be on YouTube and I'd just be watching all his videos. And I'm thinking, well, he's living a decent life.
Yeah.
He's doing what I want to do. It was kind of helping me. So listening to his, watching his videos, and I messaged him and I just started asking questions.
Is this the strength coach guy?
No, this is Joseph.
Joseph's son?
Yeah. I started asking questions. He was a really helpful guy. Yeah. Do you mean, any reply straight away? Any issues you had, little questions, he just reply. And fair one. So kind of helped me make that decision, because it's not an easy one to make when you just go, yeah. But so now I'm just waiting for my next surgery, and I made that decision due to my circumstances within the lifestyle I want to live and my career. So within the military, if you've got an ostomy bag, you're going to be P0 for your career.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite difficult to do anything. With the J pouch, which is what you've got yourself, the reversal, there's a higher chance of you becoming an MLD, which is limited deployment. Or depending on how your recovery goes, I was speaking to the MO, he said you can be MFD, but it depends on you and how you feel. So I was thinking, right, okay, well, that's one option to get it. The other reason I want it is because I do a lot of physical training, a lot of CrossFit, a lot of strength and conditioning, and it's just I've still got that gap in an abdominal wall. I want to get closed up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
And
want to reduce that risk of herniation.
Yeah, you just want to reduce it. That's why I'm being really cautious at the moment. So the surgeon said, yeah, we can get you in within 3 to 4 months. I was thinking, no, I can, that's fine. I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing safely, not pushing it, and enjoy a process of living normally. Yeah. If that makes sense. Cause
that makes perfect sense.
You just take it you don't take things for granted as much. Yeah. Which is one of the main things. But yeah, going back to when you said how things changed, I think the first time I actually looked at my ostomy was when the surgeon's assistant forgot to close the cap on the ostomy bag. And so the stoma nurse was, looking at it, and honestly, it went everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they forgot to close the gap. And this moment, I was just like, I couldn't move.
Yeah, you're swimming in it.
She's swimming, you're just like, oh no. So you've got these blinking nurses, turning you upside down, scrubbing you. You can't move. You're just like, oh God, what is going on? But anyway, 2 days after that, my catheter exploded to the point where the drain, the night nurse forgot to
empty it.
Empty it.
No way.
To wash it, and I was like, so it backfired, and I was in absolute pain for hours. It's horrific. I was like, I'll always remember that moment.
Yeah, but life's looking good.
Apart from that, it's just one of those things it's not one of those things that happen, because it doesn't happen. It shouldn't have happened. So I can't say it's one of those things, but
life's looking good. You're looking at a J pouch in the future.
Yeah, so
and you've got that's a pretty quick turnaround as well. 3 months to your next surgery. That's really fast.
Really fast.
Obviously they'll chat to you about whatever future ones are. But so like, what has this process? So for you, what's been your sort of lessons, your takeaways? Like, what has being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, getting an ostomy, prospectively having a J pouch, what's all this taught you about yourself?
It's taught me that I'm a lot more mentally strong than I thought I was. So yeah, being able to just get myself through that and always look like my fiance used to say, always just think of things one step at a time. Like set yourself like little small goals, and just knock them down as you go, and then you'll get there. So right now it was like, get back from the Falklands, get one step done, get admitted, next step, have the op, next step, recover, next step, so on. And now it's get the next op, which would be there's 2 phases. So did you have yours done?
It was 3 surgeries for me. So the initial one, middle one to set up the J pouch, and the last one for the reversal. Yeah. So I was speaking to someone, and they were like, they underestimated the recovery process of the second surgery. Yeah. Because even though you go in, even though you go in fit and healthy, it's a massive op, and they're looking to do a keyhole again. I hope they can do a keyhole, because it's rough. You had it open, didn't you? No, I John had it open. He had it open, yeah. So hopefully I can get a keyhole, and then you just wait another 3 months after that. I think it's 3 months, is it, or was it 8 weeks? I ended up nearly 18 months. 18 months. Yeah, just because where I was, you can get it. They can be quite flexible. Yeah, it comes down to like surgeon's diary as well, because there's no longer an emergency, so you're not a non-urgent case. Well, they've put me down as urgent. Oh, okay. I don't know why. Well, that's when I spoke to the PA of my surgeon. And she said, "Yeah, so you're down as urgent. That's lucky." Do you mean I was so thankful for that? Not that I don't like having an ostomy, but I just want to get it all done and put to bed and just get on with my life. Yeah, it's your path that you're. Even if the J pouch lasts 10 years, then that's 10 years with the J pouch. I'll be. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But so my mum's had it for 30 odd years now. She's fine. She's alright. All you do is just go to the toilet more often, as you know. But for me, I have to have another op anyway to get rid of the rectum, because it's still active. So if it's a choice between I'm having another surgery, I might as well have that. But that's my choice, and that's what I'm happy with. Some people are happy with what they've got at the moment, and that's fine. But I'll always wonder, what's life going to be like with a J pouch? I want to find out. I can't just sit back. Even if I have to suffer with the consequences, I need to find out what it's like. So I'll make that decision for myself when it comes. Yeah, and I think that's an important one to make as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got options available. It's an option for a reason. So there's everything there just to say that you'll have a successful operation and you'll have an enjoyable life with the J pouch. So there's no negative, there's no downside for me in that sort of decision. One thing for me with having it all, I won't let it control me. Yeah. So I know I'll get back to competing, getting back to how I was. Like, no matter how long it takes or what I go through, I will get there. But that's just because I'm mentally driven. So, yeah, things get put in your way, you just got to knock them down. What do you think would be main lesson you'd like people to learn from your story?
Yeah, so the main lesson is don't let surgery be a last option, or don't think of it as a last resort. Because if you think of it as a last resort, it's gonna end up as an emergency, and you're gonna deal with it a lot differently. You're gonna struggle with it a lot differently. With me, I had it in my mind that I wanted it, but I didn't want it. But
yeah,
it was
you made a decision.
I made a
the
decision,
was yours
and because I got over that decision, when I woke up, I could handle it properly. If I woke up and I didn't expect it, then I think I would have struggled a lot more. But yeah, just don't think of surgery as a last resort, because you see people on pages and they're just suffering and suffering and suffering and avoiding surgery with all costs. And I'm thinking, if it's that bad, you'd want the surgery.
Yeah, and you do. You see a lot of people
Yeah.
struggle on, but that's obviously our decisions. But
Yeah.
I was in a similar place. I felt when I finally made the decision to have the surgery, that I didn't see the value in continuing that suffering.
That's the thing. I think surgery is very individual, and if you don't want it, that's fine. If you can manage it, how you're managing it, and it's working for you, continue. But if you are suffering, generally, it's just a way out.
Mm-hmm.
It's to leave it all behind.
Totally.
Yeah.
What's your hopes? You're going to be getting a day pouch, or you're going down that route.
Mm-hmm.
What's your aspirations for the future?
Well, to compete, as I said, to compete again, to enjoy doing what I love, and become medically fit to deploy and carry on with my career as best as I can. So yeah, I think when I was ill, you're just thinking about people in your family. If something happened to them, you can't do anything. So now you've got the chance to just have a second chance, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You try and make the most of it. Don't take things for granted. So just enjoy my life as much as I can.
Yeah, get the most out of it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good approach. I think I think most people in most walks of lives, that would be a good approach.
Don't get me wrong. If I have a complication in the future, I'll cross that path when it comes to it.
Yeah.
And I'll deal with it then. But for now, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So having been through, I mean, it's still very raw for you. This, you were talking less than a year.
Well, not even that. 4.5 months.
Yeah, it's from diagnosis or from the initial symptoms.
From the surgery.
Wasn't it?
From the surgery.
Was it June last year or June 19?
It was July, beginning of August, I started getting the symptoms. And then October, I had the surgery.
2019.
Yeah.
So it's such a raw
to
be where you are now, in the headspace you are, and to be able to talk about your experience. It does say a lot for your mental strength and your resilience, because a lot of people aren't able to talk about it in a year, 2, 3, 4 years down the line. It's still too much for them to try and be able to get that out of themselves. So I think it's a big thing for you.
If I can interrupt you a second, I think you had the didn't you say your symptoms came after your probs course?
Yeah, so after
that's quite similar.
So it was literally a couple of months after probs.
Yeah. And
I was on my ERI course.
Yeah.
And then symptoms started to come up. I knew what it was because obviously I'd already been and had that diagnosis, but it had been calm for quite a period of time. To the point I wasn't on medication or anything. So I've had quite to that point quite a fortunate journey with the disease.
Yeah, I think I kind of knew that the disease was coming when I was on the course.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't know it was a disease coming, but I knew it was something wrong. So I'd be with my mate, and we'd train every morning before it started. And I'd wake up, go to the toilet, and then we'd go to the gym. I'd go to the toilet, we'd do a workout, I'd finish, we'd go to the toilet, and then it'd stop, and I'd be like, and he'd be all warmed up, but he'd be like, I'm ready to go. I'd be like, all right, straight into the workout. Do you mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say no, I'm not ready. I need to warm up. Because he'd be like, I don't want to make him wait. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's a good argument that probably was the early signs of it.
So, but I didn't know that. I was just thinking, I've got a high fibre diet. I got a healthy diet and it's just going through me. But
I think that comes down to the lack of knowledge out there, general knowledge. It's one of those things that people just don't actually think about.
Yeah.
As before diagnosis, whereas it's almost retrospectively that we're able to look at it and go, oh yeah, all those little things that were all coming together. That was probably
you start overthinking and you're like, that's what it was.
Yeah,
You mean?
no, it's crazy. Like, it really is crazy. Yeah. So going through all of this, what would you say for you now? What are you most grateful for?
Friends and family. In all honesty, like the people I was talking to at the time probably got me through it mentally, and then my parents were really supportive as well, because my mother had been through it all. It was always like, if I had any questions, I could just be like, "What is going on?" Do you know what I mean?
Your instant encyclopedia.
And I'd be like, "Yeah, my mum's done it. I can do it." That was always my initial thought. So my mum had a J pouch. Oh, if she went through it, I can do it. You mean, even though she's not as active as me, but we'll see. But I think, yeah, mainly friends and family, especially the friends I was close to at the time, and obviously my fiance as well. She was really supportive. But yeah, so
I think situations like that make you realise how important it is to have a support network around you. I think in today's world we do spend a lot of time as an individual, like the old fashioned family group and sort of takes a village attitude. It doesn't really exist that much because you travel away for work. For one, be in the military, you're pulled away. The cap badge that you wear means you're more on your own within different jobs. You're in a unit, but you're the only person with that cap badge and stuff. So and the rest of the world as well does kind of move towards an individualistic approach. And sometimes we forget how important it is that we surround ourselves with valuable relationships in friends and family. So I think
it opens it up, doesn't it? You realise,
I think I took my family for granted until I went through that process and seen how much what I was going through was affecting them, but also how much everyone was there for me. Like, I actually think my experience with it affirmed what I thought about the military for me. Just because of the amount of support that I received as I was going through the different stages of it. Like, I was quite fortunate that I wasn't in a highly deployable or a high readiness role where I was affecting the team, but the way everyone was able to rally around, it was amazing.
Like, the support I've had off the PT Corps has been phenomenal. Especially being looked after in South Wales as well, especially by the guys up in Brecon HQ. The welfare has been fantastic, really. I can thank them enough.
It makes you realise that it works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But they get it. Do you mean? So, and sorry, and yourself. Like, thank you for when I was in hospital. You contacted me, and you were like, this is who I am. I think it was Steve Turner, wasn't it?
Steve Turner's that
told you that what happened to me, because he came down. With a guy called Lockie to see me, and you approached me, and then you were talking. You came down, have a chat, see if I was alright, and I really appreciated it. So thank you.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure. I think that's one of the things for me. I always feel I want to try and do for people that I discover are going through a similar experience, because that wasn't available to me, and I think it helps when you've got someone of a peer that's been through that. Because I remember, like, I got a lot of visits, but no one had IBD or had been through that process. So it was kind of, as supportive as it was sort of like, well, you're a kind of a lost puppy, and everyone's taking pity on you, and it's like, I'm still a person.
That's what I didn't want people thinking, like, treating me differently. Like, the mates I've got now still, like, rip me, take the piss out of me. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, because I'm just being treated normally. Not like, oh, do you mean?
And that's what you need sometimes, isn't it? You want people to understand, but you also want them to be like, for the most part, you just want to be treated like yourself.
We just laugh about it, but it's the best way of dealing with it sometimes.
So I've got a part of the show where I literally have ripped off another podcast by a guy called Lewis Howes, and he calls it the 3 truths. So we're looking way into the future, sort of thing, or I guess like a time you're about to disappear. Like, I'm not saying you're dying, but you're about to disappear. Everything you've ever done or created is lost for whatever reason. what 3 truths or 3 lessons would you want the world to learn from you?
I had a feeling this question was coming. I would like to think. I would like people to think that I was approachable, a very approachable person, someone that I could talk to, they could talk to, and give them good answers, whether it be related to anything I've experienced or experience in the future. Not that I've experienced much before my diagnosis, but that'd be one. I'd like to be known as a happy, humble person and a decent athlete. if I can put that in there.
Yeah.
Like a decent athlete that came out the other side. Like I've got mates that have come out through surgeries, like where they've been smashed to bits and like got through it, and you just think, how the hell did you get through all that?
Yeah.
And now you're at the level you're at. So it just makes me think I can do that as well.
Yeah.
Even after the next 2 surgeries I go through, I can still do it with all the abdominal surgeries he had. I think yes, I can do the same, and I can be as best as I can be.
Yeah.
We'll just see what the future holds, really.
And what 3 life lessons would you like the world to take from your life?
3 life lessons. Never take anything for granted. Don't take family for granted. Whenever you get a chance to help your family, help them. And don't think surgery is the last option, really.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I can think about. Just don't stress about the fact that it could be a last option when it can change your life and it can make it better. Because I feel amazing now compared to how I felt. Not ideal, but you've got to move on from it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd just like to acknowledge you, to be honest, buddy. Like the pathway you've come and the time frame that you've had, it really is like it's commendable to yourself. Yeah. Like how you've come through that all and, as we call it, survived with honor. Yeah. You've still got most of your journey ahead of you, but to be in the position where you are to talk about things in mature is the wrong kind of word that I'm looking for.
I think it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got such a good perspective of it already. It's really refreshing to see, because you could be somewhere totally different in your pathway right now. You could be a very angry person, and that I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing to be. It's completely right, but to have transcended through to where you are now, it's just shows such strength. Yeah. And I just really wanted to show my appreciation for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming out today, all the way from Risca.
Thank you for approaching me. Thanks for talking to me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
That's really good.
Boom, we can stop recording now.
Yeah. There we go.
Hey, that was class. It was really, really enjoyable.
No, thank you for. It's a good chat. I never really opened up like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's good.
How do you feel about it?
Well, you kind of forget the cameras are on you.
Yeah, initially it's like weird, isn't it? You're like,
and you're just like,